So I have both cameras running at this time. We'll see what happens in post-editing, but at any rate, this is what I was working on this morning. So far, I'm experimenting. I'm playing with the tools that I have. I just recently bought some new brushes that I wanted to try out. That's it there. I should probably check the camera here too. So that's it there. I also bought sort of just a multi-use, same brand. It's the Princeton Neptune brushes. I've never tried them before. Thought I would give it a try and see how it goes. And then I also bought a liner brush, which I didn't have previously, which is kind of crazy because I have so many supplies. But I think shopping for art supplies is my weakness. I can walk past a pile of clothes, no problem. I'm not a huge shopper. I hate grocery shopping, all of it. I'm not a shopper at all, but once I see those art supplies, I just want to buy everything I see. So I recently purchased a watercolor block. I haven't worked with watercolor paper too much. I did a little bit when I was in school, but to be honest, I've been mostly working on canvases, large canvases. In class, we didn't really concentrate on watercolor as much as we did acrylics, and the majority of the work that we did was in acrylics and gouache. We didn't do a lot of watercolor. So my experience with watercolor has been, I'm still working with it. It's new to me. So, you know, it's a matter of incorporating the techniques that I've done with acrylics and gouache and to bring that into watercolor and see how it varies. I'm not used to sort of the not having the push and pull that you do with an opaque medium. With the watercolor, it's more translucent, and you work in multiple layers. In school, when we were working with acrylics, we had 3 hours for a class, and in 3 hours you had to have your painting finished. So it was the practice of our instructor to make sure that we weren't really sketching things out with pencil first, that we were sort of sketching it with our wet brushes and, you know, figuring out our composition on the canvas itself, and then completing the canvas all in one sitting. So to kind of step back from that practice and take your time and go in and just spend time, you know, drawing out the image and layering. It's more illustrative in that sense. And so for me, I'm more of an interpretive, I guess it's more interpretive, more freestyle, more kind of playing with the medium to see what I can pull out of it versus kind of having an image in my head and then executing it from start to finish. And that's what I really want to work on right now too, is getting that process working for me where I don't know if you can see, oh, you can't see too funny. Anyways, so with all that being said, I've been experimenting with watercolor. I've been experimenting with watercolor paper. And previously, I do have this issue with things getting muddy because I do overwork it. So after this, the camera stopped recording after 11 minutes and missed all of the footage of me pulling out the image of a cat from within these warm colors. Immediately, I could see the curl of a tail in the purple, but at the same time, I could also see a hind leg in the red of that background. And here I thought I could avoid a cat image. So I lightly penciled an outline, which was more detailed than the final mark. I decided to keep it simplified, but also wanted to test out lettering. And since I bought the bleed proof, why not try to use it and see how well it contrasts? I did a quick outline of the purr in pencil, added the bleed proof with a brush, and added the lettering shadow in a black fine liner. Hindsight, now that I see it in post, I should have treated the yellow as a light source, but I chose the top right of the image instead.
I think I envisioned that the yellow was an object like a tree or a scratching post at the time I was creating. As I finish the text, I feel the urge now to pursue calligraphy a little deeper into improving my lettering skills. So that's going to be coming in future videos. Onto the cool colored background. After looking at the placement of the watermark feathering, I felt like it screamed winter pines. So I pulled out all of my art books first to get an idea of how to approach this before I continued. I'm just going to speed this process up and throw in a background track for you now, but at the time I was reading a lot of the artist notes, and for the majority of this I had no music playing. So I don't know if you just caught that. I saw it in post-editing. I'm experimenting here with lighting a little bit too, and how well it records under the different lighting that I have. Clearly I should have just left the daylight, not worried about any extra light, because I feel like it looked better previously. It still isn't bad though, mind you, so it just changed kind of the tone of the recording. So I do flip it back a little bit later on. Hopefully this won't be too disturbing, but I don't think I want to edit the color change. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is, and hopefully it's okay. I wasn't really happy with the outcome of the foreground and background, so I attempted to remove the third needle branch and add a bench instead, which really muddied up the image overall. The area was too dark. Instead, it turned into a bush. Retooling a part of the image is something I wanted to try in watercolor anyhow, because I often have to rework an area that I'm not happy with. Then I decided to split the image into two separate images using the bleed proof to see if I could improve the final outcome in any way.
I wanted to do like a winter scene because that's what I'm seeing outside right now. We are in March and I'm in southern Ontario, so we do have snow and it can be quite depressing at times, but I get a lot of light in here, as you can see, so it really hasn't been as depressing as other winters have been, weather-wise. Yeah, weather-wise, because we all know what's going on. So you know, with lockdown, that's a whole different type of depression, I think, than having the winter blues.
I find that laying a base layer of watercolor is the most enjoyable part of the process. At some point, I would like to create an outer space scene, and I thought it would be good to try out laying a base color for that. I wanted to let the colors swirl, but ultimately I used too much water and puddles began to form. The page buckled and colors ran off the edge and pulled up. I think this particular technique would have been better on different paper.
Art bags, better idea. So I'm just gonna try and soak some of this up and see what happens. I don't know.
After working with watercolor for a couple of weeks, I decided to limit the range of color to only 3 options. This will speed up the process and should give me a good foundation to base future color choices in gouache, acrylics, or other media that I'm using. I've chosen to use Azo Yellow Medium, Cerulean Blue, Alizarin Crimson. The range of color I can achieve with these 3 plus black and white would be enough moving forward.
So I didn't really want to end my experience working with watercolor over the past couple of weeks, just experimenting with it on that note. I thought I'd go out and actually get one of the products that I really wanted to try, which was the masking fluid. And I found the pen because I heard that that's supposed to be great to work with, and thought I'd give it a go. And sure enough,
I had a lot of fun working with it. Thanks for watching.